Cash Game Festival in Bratislava, day 5.
And you still have a chance to join it.
Hello everybody, I am back. It is once again me, Jason Glatzer, aka Wacky Jackson, in the house, and I am here with a friend of mine, a new friend of mine though. We met in Sunny Beach, Tishu Tiomir, but do not call him Tim, anything but Tim, but welcome, thank you for joining.
Welcome.
And we have Tishu here. He's probably going to be doing more analysis than me. I'll join in a little bit. He plays a lot of No Limit Hold'em. I play a lot of everything else. So together we probably have a lot covered.
Yes, of course.
So we will see how it goes, but we should have an exciting table. The stakes will be 2-5. We have a lot of British players on the table, a few local players, and it looks like the action is beginning. And I told seats 1 through 3 all told me how my eyes go nice with my shirt. They were giving me compliments, so I kind of now need to be nice to them. I do know James. He's listed as Jimmy here in seat 3. Immediately getting into the action here.
Yeah, of course. I watched like hour and a half from yesterday's show, and I noticed some familiar faces from yesterday. Seat number 2, and the guy on seat number 1 was the co-commentator yesterday, right?
Yeah, he did join in with Jorge for a little while.
Seems like a reggae table.
Yeah, it should be like a good analytical table, I would say, and I know that those two were providing pretty good analysis. For me, it's going to be a lot of ABC analysis and Hold'em. Like the Ace-9 suited is a fairly standard open and 8-handed game even from early position.
Yeah.
The Ace-Jack 3-bet from the button is also fairly standard. I don't know if Tommy and Jimmy have played together.
I'm not a huge fan of defending Ace-9 suited, but in the beginning everybody wants to fill the table, maybe not fold immediately to 3-bets, and maybe try to establish some nice image that I'm not gonna be the pushover on the table that's gonna fold to each 3-bet. and therefore, yeah, people are tending to gamble in the beginning just to feel how the table goes, who's going to be the bully on the table, and so on.
And it was interesting, they pulled up the stack sizes, so it's quite a range there. We have players buying in for the minimum of 500, but Antonio bought in for 2K, so he's ready for some action, I think.
Yeah, I think most of the players here are ready to rumble because I've seen such huge pile of chips everywhere. So this hand is gonna be a walk, which I'm sure not gonna see many of those. And
we saw one walk in Omaha stream, which was interesting.
Really?
It was like the first
How is
time
that
I've seen
possible?
that. It wasn't like a walk. It was like this, where there was an open raise and just all the
everybody
blinds.
folded.
Yeah, but still, it's was just a single raise and everybody folded. It's rare
Hard to believe
on
it.
an Omaha stream, but it was a good stream, lots of action,
yeah.
a couple
I
good
enjoy
bluffs
watching
as well.
Omaha, even though I know nothing about ranges and postal play. But, I found it really interesting how people select their hands and play post flop. It's really completely new nature for me. And I watch few of Jane Andes courses, and they're really entertaining. But nothing like those guys playing live cash.
So you're probably a better Omaha player than I am if you've been watching some of Jay Nandez. I mean, he's.
Just by watching, I don't know much. Trust me. I just,
Is it watching or is it like listening to his analysis on the
but
hands?
if you don't have the base theory, you do nothing. I just do it for fun most of the time.
We put you on mute for a second. Our lovely waitress came by. Looks like you have a nice little coffee. So it was nice that she gave us a little bit of attention. We are kind of tucked away in the corner. We wanted to give her proper thanks.
She deserves that. So, finally,
The staff here is really good
oh yeah, they're very kind
and fast.
yeah.
So we've seen not any post-flop action quite yet.
Yeah,
there we
finally.
go, Antonio. This is what we like
Even
to see.
a good spot for 4-bet, but I don't know how it's possible that Ace Queen folded so fast. He at least should consider going for cold 4-bet because this is one of the best both people have in these spots. Instead, it goes heads up to the flop, which is quite favorable King Queen suited. I can imagine that he's gonna check raise or check call. The reason why it's good to check raise with such combo is that you have most of the sets in this situation. You have 7s and 6s, and occasionally you can trap aces. Instead, it goes check check and very action card because Jack 9 picks up lots of combo draws, and definitely gonna fire this.
How big is this bet here? Not big enough, I don't think, to scare off Tommy.
175.
Oh, it is quite big,
The pot was
actually.
already 200, so I like the size because when the out of position player checks again on the turn, he usually doesn't have ace, which is in this case particular, and most of the range having with Tommy has is 10s, jacks, 9s, of course some sets, but usually he's gonna fast play on such wet board. So I think Antonio's gonna win this hand a lot by double barreling turn in river.
If it's a blank on the river, let's say Tommy calls and a blank on a river, I want to see it.
What?
Now he gets the hand. It was a big
Queen
enough
folds
bet.
instantly.
Yeah. I thought about it for like 30
In
seconds or so.
Tommy's shoes, I prefer to do a so-called pro bet. You know, it's a 1/3 bet on the turn to see how it goes the rest of the hand, because with 1/3 size you can easily call a raise, and in 3-better shoes makes not so much sense to 3-bet to raise turn after you check behind flop. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and then it also helps you do the triple barrel and get more value.
And you can do this with your entire range and draws. I mean, value range and draws. But in this case, I'm surprised that this guy folded King Queen of cards to a single barrel. Definitely not the standard play.
We should definitely see Blount open, and he is.
It's quite possible that some of these players are shooting these stakes, maybe not feeling very comfortable.
A few of these guys were ready to play 5-10, but we wanted. It's you can see the British players that are in this. Look how much fun they're having. They wanted wanted to be on the table, but they wanted to play 2-5. So, as I told players, the fans that were watching earlier, that sometimes it's better to have a lower stakes game that's like an action game versus a 5-10 game, which is very tight. So Alex here with top pair. Ballant with a gut shot. Maybe thinks his sixes could be good as well after it went check on the flop.
He could fire this with pocket sixes with diamond on the flop, but he decides to check it back and play it cautiously. He's willing to both catch, and now this is one of the best cards for the guy in position to represent on the river, because he is full of ace highs, but instead he thought his pocket sixes are good enough, but in reality, I don't think he's gonna win enough on showdown, because okay, he beat some bluffs like Jack 10 or what was the flush draw, combinations, but
or potential straight draw, but
usually the big blind will have some 8x, 9x, some weak pairs that he's willing to block bet and protect against overcards.
So for those of you just joining in, I see we have a few more viewers. Once again, if you were tuning into the PLO stream, you know who I am. You may know me anyway. I'm Jason Glatzer, aka Wacky Jackson. Been to about 24 or more cash game festivals. Here with me is Tishu, aka Tiomir, aka do not call him Tim. We met Tiomir over in Sunny Beach at our last stop. We were impressed with his play, and then we were even more impressed with him in the commentating booth with George. And now he's back here in Bratislava, having a good time and joining us in the booth. And you went on the beer bike tour today too, so what did you think of that?
Well, it was a very fun experience, and we had a good time overall. And I look forward to next events that you guys organize, because for players it's not really clear what to do during the event, the day, because you can travel around the world, but there are not that many sightseeings as far as I can see.
This was a unique one too.
And this is very good experience for sure.
So flush draw now for Tomei, but he can't be too impressed with that. If Joel bets again, it's going to be very hard for Tomei to continue.
Yeah.
But it did go check.
Down, which to me is like a give up in this spot. Maybe he has the strategy to barrel any hearts. I mean, he doesn't have a single heart in his hand. And pocket freeze is actually gonna do something creative. Maybe trying to fold him off a jack, or maybe pocket tens. I mean, it's
pocket
really
eights, like one of those middling pairs.
Something weird.
Did he get a call? Was it for value?
No,
he didn't get it
folded.
called. Okay.
There's lots of drink I see on the table, so it's gonna be a wild game.
Yeah,
sooner or later.
That crew of British guys, they came out together. There was about a dozen or so of them.
They've
been having fun.
They're having fun on the table.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a good atmosphere. Maybe they introduce 7 deuce game or something else. But in these spots it's pretty weird. What do you do with pocket freeze? Why do you turn them into a bluff once you might? Your opponent doesn't represent much. Maybe it's a good actually with single heart to try to fold him out of
And for those of you also tuning in now, we are giving away 25 euros to 4 players, to 4 of you guys that sign up to Pokio during the stream. It's not the first 4. It's we'll do a draw of the 4 people. Sign up to Pokio, join Club 100197, which is the CGF Pokio Club. I will put the command in the chat box in a second, and then after you go through those steps, just let us know what your screen name is. We'll verify some information, do a draw, and we will toss 25 euros into your account for free. So if you like free money, why not?
Go
Then
for
who
it.
doesn't like free money?
Yeah, actually, yesterday I made one full house, and it turns out to win like 20 euro, and I played blackjack for a while because I have to wash them, and it turns out really good for me. I didn't expect to win from my single ticket.
Life is good.
Yeah, sometimes I get lucky. So Daniel, he had the plan maybe to borrow every cup on the turn. He's going anyway. It's really dangerous and connected board. I don't think many hands are folding here, but okay, this ace-10 without any cups is really bottom of his range, so turns out really good for him. But I see some ballsy play so far, and it's good for the action and for the viewers, I guess.
Yeah, it's nice to see the extra barrel there. It's one of the few hands, as you said, that's going to fold. No draws, and you could be drawing dead at that
Yeah.
point as well. So if you're gonna,
It's not the best pot, and usually you should check out of position because the guy under the gun has all the sets, jacks, tens, and nines, and he occasionally may defend free bet in position with king queen suited or similar. So this is not one of the favorite flops for your overpairs. Therefore, you should start with a check on the flop.
we could see
Nevertheless-
some action between the British players with the tens and the ace queen in here. Was there a 3-bet? It was. The British players were ready to play, have a little fun.
Yeah, they dictate the table so far. It's quite easy call with tens.
Do we see a 4-bet? Do we see a call? He does just call.
I don't see a reason to turn your head into the wall because if you get 5 bets, you have to fold, and this hand is very good on low textures, where the other guy might have ace queen, ace king type of hand and try to barrel you off. Of course, on this flop you have the easiest check fold of your life. No reason to continue any further. You're gonna get blown away from your hands on later street, because even if the guy has king jack or jack 10, he's gonna second barrel almost always.
So Antonio up to 2.1k. He bought in for 2k, so it's not that he's up a ton, but he's built up his big stack. He's playing a little quiet, but sometimes when you have an action table, you want to play things closer to the vest. Hey, Carpet Cat. Carpet Catcher in the house. If you don't recognize my voice, Carpet Catcher, it is Jason Wacky Jackson. I'm here with Tiomir from Bulgaria. He was at the Cash Game Festival in Sunny Beach. Now he's joined us back in the commentating booth. Maybe we'll see you on the feature table too. You are on the waiting list for the 1-3. That is a high
for
demand
sure.
because it's the only 1-3 hold'em game that we have. And we can't convince you to try something new. You're not going to play short deck, it doesn't sound.
Maybe short deck on the side table.
On the side table,
Yeah.
but you don't want to. You may have some friends watching, and they're going to say,
because
"This
of the
guy's a
friends,
fish," and
I prefer to study some game and then come, but to come on the stream without knowing what to do simply makes no sense to me.
the thing about short deck there, I wouldn't say it's that new of a game, but it's a game where I feel a lot of people just don't know the strategy. So I don't think the TV table is going to be like a lesson in how to play. George will probably be back doing the commentating. He's won a trophy playing a short deck tournament, so he understands the game. To me, I don't understand ranges. I don't understand bet sizings in it. I did play on the short deck feature table in Sunny Beach just to have a laugh. I learned a little bit on the fly, but it's a new game for me in terms of playing. I've only played it a handful of times.
Even though it's a two-card game, it's pretty similar to Omaha because of the ranges. And I think it's good to start learning some unknown games because in beginning, you remember back in the century, people were really bad at Texas Hold'em. because it was not well studied, and people tend to do some really weird stuff, and you can make huge edge over the population if you start wearing some tending games. Like I guess we'll see more and more events with six-packs Hold'em in the near future, because people want action, and sometimes in Hold'em you can get like carded for like hours, and nobody wants to see that. It happens, it's part of the game, but people are coming to play hands.
I've certainly watched. I rewatched the stream. I enjoyed
Yeah.
watching the mistakes I made, but more just enjoyed watching it. And not to give a shout out to other companies, but it's the Triton is what's made that popular. But that's completely different. Where we're looking at the everyday player. You guys in chat can come join and be on a feature table and play a game like Short Deck, in front of your family and friends, and be a star for a little while. Where if you want to do it in Triton, you need to be playing like 200, 400, 200 antes or higher. Not something most of us can just do for fun. At least I can't do for fun. Where if it's a €2 ante, okay, I could do that for fun. If I lose €200, it was still an expensive lesson, but it wasn't something that's going to change my life at all. And we're near the feature table, and we hear a lot of banter going on. I don't know if it's being picked up in the microphone or not, but they are having a grand old time. You could probably tell from watching on the stream as well. Mm-hmm. So if you're having trouble hearing us, please speak up. We'll get closer to the microphone. We're not going to tell them to be quiet. They're having too much fun. This is all about having fun. So Ballant again picks up a hand. Let's see what he chooses to do from the cutoff. It's a raise of 15 and unfortunately does not get any action.
Well, this reminds me of the table I was on before I came here. It was 0 to none action.
We needed to spread the British guys around. It is a random seat draw, but if the British guys were scattered around...
I noticed that there are 5 next to each other.
Yeah. But it is random, so it's just the luck of the way. Like I'm usually helping with the TV, organizing the TV table lately. And,
is it possible during the show that they decided to switch seats?
I wasn't involved in setting up this table, but it would have gone against my rules. Like you could see when the table focuses back on the dealer that there were those purple cards, similar to when you're playing a tournament. You randomly draw one, and that's your seat. That's how it's supposed to work here. So we have a raise.
Maybe there is a straddle in this hand, because the raise is to 30. Usually.
Yeah, there is a straddle and a 3-bet to 100. So you can see how a straddle changes already the bet sizings.
Yes, you should be actually tighter when there is a straddle. And my general approach in this situation is to imagine myself being one position to the. One position further to the button and open such range, because usually the straddle doesn't want to give away its €10, and if the other guys are really good, they're gonna go at you, and the pot is gonna be extremely huge suddenly. The SPR is really low.
Tommy's thinking of calling here or making a move.
I don't think so, because calling makes 0 to none sense to me.
So is he 4-betting? What happened here?
Yes. Should be 4-betting. Finally, something creativity. In this case, not gonna work out, because Sam has a monster, and I don't see many people folding pre-flop Ace King.
So he just calls. Is there any chance that you would just jam it in with not caring if some hands folded that you're beating, but just because you're very often just getting a nice pot without having to see any of the board?
Yeah. When we play 5-10, it's quite possible to jam Ace King with such stack sizes, but Ace King is also very good in position, especially suited, so he thinks he can outplay the opponent post-op. And this is really a present board for the button. And he managed to win that straight away.
Interesting. So he gets
he continues
there with
his
the
story
4-bet,
telling
yeah.
that he has aces, kings, and occasionally queens maybe, or maybe some ace of spades hands.
It's why like I'm not a hold'em cash expert. At a tournament, I'm jamming 100% of the time there, based on stack sizes. And in a cash game, depending on who the players are at the table, like my local game lately has become a dealer's choice 4-5 Omaha and Hold'em, like where most of it's Omaha, but the tourists are choosing Hold'em. But I know how the regulars play Hold'em, and then I'm often just jamming there, so I'm not having to make any more decisions.
When you say Omaha 4-5, you mean between 4 and 5 cuts?
Yes,
The dealer decides how many cuts.
yes. And when there's 8 or more players at the table, then it's between just Omaha and Hold'em. But we try to keep the table at 7, and if there's like a Hold'em player, then we get them to open up another table just for Hold'em.
Yeah.
We do Hold'em so that usually the regulars don't mind playing, and I certainly don't mind tossing in a little bit of Hold'em. It's not my not my favorite thing, but it's also I don't mind playing it every fourth hand or something. It's fine. There's many nights where I've just done my lot in Omaha, but because Hold'em was involved, I broke even or I won money. It's happened.
Do they make it mandatory straddle? Because I see third hand in a row. Another straddle.
It's possible.
Maybe they do one orbit, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I see people rebuying. For sure, because it's like 5-10 already.
So we were talking about it being 5-10 anyway, so maybe they just said, fuck it, we're
They
going to be...
turn it into 2-5-10
yeah.
in the end. So the standard size is between 30 and 35 now. Alex, he could go either way with his hand. Against cutoff, very wide range, you can decide to 3-bet, but unfortunately you have to fold to 4-bet, so he decided to play cautiously and in position. Usually, when I decide whether to 3-bet or call on the button, I see the player behind me. If there are some recreational, I prefer to stick them into the pot. If they are regulars, I go for the aggressive line usually. So free line to the turn, goes check check.
Although Jimmy's ahead, he shouldn't feel like super confident right now.
Yeah,
but
I think
James is a very experienced player. Like I've seen him around. That's
He
James
knows-
Bullymore.
he knows freeway that his hands were probably one street of value, and I think the best street to go there is on the turn, because there are some straight and flush draws that he's willing to charge, and if he has to face two big bets by the button, let's say that he checks second time, if the other guy goes bet, he'll have really hard time going for two calls, check calls. And on the river he's certainly having value bet because the other guy doesn't have any two-pair combination, but in reality I think he should go really small because he's targeting ace jack, ace 10, something that's not gonna bet call so much,
rather
maybe like
big.
75, but instead he goes for the overbet.
About
which-
a pot size bet.
Yes. To me, I don't see the point of this because you have so much range advantage on this texture. You may occasionally solo play something really strong. I don't think anyone's gonna hero call you with ace 10 or ace jack against this size. So
Or
to
maybe
me-
he's played a lot with Alex as well, and maybe they have some
they
history
have
where they
history.
bluff at that range.
Yeah.
But it looks like you were absolutely correct,
I
Axel.
think
Nice
he was a
down.
little bit greedy in the end because it was the best card in the deck, of course. But in reality, if the button has something decent on the flop, he's gonna stop the flop, and he didn't. So he's pretty capped in this spot.
Let's give shout outs to a few of the other people in chat. Guys is back. Welcome, Nikki. Carpcatcher, we already said hello to you, but hello again. Chris Kember, welcome. You can let us know who you're rooting for at the table, or if you're just tuning in for some fun and laughs.
I'm sure everybody's cheering for one of the British guys because they're the more entertaining players compared to the other three players that are so quiet and just waiting for good spots.
I'm rooting for seats 1 through 3 because I walked by and they knew I was commentating, and all of them said,
Yeah.
"Oh, your shirt goes very nice with your eyes, Jason."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Okay, you guys knew what I was after, and now you're my hero." And then C4 says, "I'm just a whale. You can root against me."
C2 gives a lot of affection with 5-4 City yesterday. C3 is so good looking, like an American actor from some comedy show, and the rest are simply so static and simply waiting for good spots.
So Chris is rooting for Alex. Alex is the one that says I'm a beluga when I walk by before I hopped in, and we got a little bit of a laugh out of that. But Alex seems to be holding his own. I wouldn't necessarily call him a whale at all from what I've seen in the first 20 minutes anyway.
They're quite solid today.
I would be the fish at this table, it looks like.
You see, this guy took his money and put Strada on, but now he says you can't go it back. I mean, you have to put it anyway. And
He pulls it back.
yeah.
And we'll find out pretty soon if they're playing the 7 deuce game. If Joel opens up with the 7 deuce, unless it's a straddle, we don't
I
know
think
what's
we're
going
going
on
to
with
see
Joel.
this eventually, later on. He actually reveals one of his cards
So he shows the 7,
and raised to 10, actually.
so that's probably a straddle. It's probably just in the system that way.
Yeah.
Because maybe the straddle wasn't up before the hand started, and then I think our technical people have to put it in as a bet. But it would make sense. It's a straddle size. It's not an opening size. Everybody's been opening for 3x.
I think the that table is willing to play 5-10 already, so they should make it mandatory. Jimmy free bets to a really small size because he knows the other guy is probably not the strong.
Carpet Catcher's torn between Stream Tonight and the HU Disgrace is 1-1. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to get into that because I think the whole... I shouldn't even really get into it, but I don't like it. You know, it's like it's taking a piss on some things I don't like. You know, I don't like the idea of there's like a contest somewhere else where two British poker players are playing heads up, and one of them, the loser, has to wear drag during a tournament, and I have no problem with people wearing drag, but I don't like it for like a loss of a prop bet. You know, it's like to me, it's like a personal decision choice, like a life choice. You know, I grew up in the theater. You know, I grew up outside Broadway. My dad was very involved in Broadway, and I grew up very open-minded. So I'm pretty against that, but I don't blame you for tuning in. And I don't blame the players for doing it. It's just not something that I'm interested in. So Chris Kember is saying that Alex is actually a rock, and he told me he was a beluga. So beluga meaning like whale, big fish. But he's
Seat?
seat 4. But we've only seen good plays from C4 so far. So that's consistent with what Chris is saying
I don't
here.
see anything extraordinary compared to the other day when there was really frisky calls and white 3-bet, bad defense and so on. Today they're playing decent enough so far. And
Dream
there is
City
some-
for Daniel here, but will he get value out of this?
Daniel is the initial raiser. He shakes it and now he
Improves
walks
to a
it.
boat.
But unfortunately, Ace-Jack doesn't have any equity in the hand, so I don't think anything is gonna happen here.
Sam bets.
But he's very active, so he's gonna try to stop the flop. This is what I talked about previous hands, that you should definitely include some garbage hands trying to steal the pot once checked behind. And yeah, notice his face expression. He is just calling in a way that he pretends not to like the situation on the board. And I think he's gonna go for second bet because he blocks straights, but he bets extremely small, which makes no sense to me because Even ace high is gonna willing to. Oh no, sorry.
Yeah, there was a
I
100 chip
I
there.
thought they were all blue chips and looks to me like 120.
Yeah, the chips blend in. Like I had that
Yeah,
issue during the first stream at times.
Yeah. So it turns out really good run out for Daniel, who managed to get max value with this wine. So yeah, people are tricky. Usually, when you play a soft, low stakes cash game, you go fast play your hand because you know people are on the station side. But you see, there is some adjustment here made by Daniel, which turns out really good. That people are willing to stop and to work in some spots that you don't expect a low stakes player to do it. And that was a really nice hand. So far I've seen few, and pretty much when they play like this there is not much to comment on because people know their theory, okay, at least in a base, and they get reasonable wines in the end. So like there's what to learn from these guys actually. Because I'm not regular at this limit, I find it really educational.
So this is just going to be a walkish hand. We may see Jimmy defend because he is suited in the
He has
straddle.
position actually.
And he has-
Usually,
actually has
if you're a
position.
big blind, you won't have it, but once you straddle and small blind opens, 7-4 becomes not so bad hand. And maybe you can actually mix in with some free bets before.
Oh wow!
What a flop. And even Joe
And Joe
has
has
diamonds.
a draw. Yeah.
Yeah, he's surely check calling at least one street. Jimmy should go really small because he doesn't have really strong hand besides made flushes. He maybe has a set of fives and that's about it. Wow!
Sick. And now a straight flush draw if that
What a
3 comes. I
card.
mean, it's a 1-outer, but
Yeah. Jimmy hated that card. He was going for free streets of value and now he has to slow down. And I expect this to go check on the river as well because Jimmy is not gonna fold any better hands, most likely, unless he bets really big. But there is no point because if Joe has naked ace, he's folding, so he is devastated by this run out. Yeah, so unlucky.
not the biggest pot in the world, but just
Yeah,
a
yeah.
bit of bad luck there.
Best flop in the wood and worst turn. Yeah.
It could have been a sick river though.
Yeah.
So Antonio's still with that big 2K stack. That's what he started with. He up a little bit. And
For some reason, this festival seems so reggish to me. I don't know if you have this impression.
I don't know. I was watching some of the other side table action, and it really just depends on the table. You know, there's
Yeah.
a bunch of different players here, and maybe in the hold'em it's like that.
Yes, for sure. So far, what I see, I don't play much, like 5-6 hours or something, but there are lots of reasonable plays and not many pewy wines.
So now Jimmy with a hand here. Let's see what James does.
He's definitely going for like 30-35.
So it's the standard.
And this guy can do both. He decided to go with the aggressive line, and finally we can see some action. The question is, do you want to go for a trap? Depends on the SPR actually, and since they're extremely deep, I prefer to go for a 4-bet. Should be around 250, something like that. Not necessary to go anything bigger than that. He's going for like 300 maybe?
300.
300
Yeah.
is really too much. I mean, he's narrowing Alex's range so much, and I think the hand should be over by now. Because in this spot, unless you have really long history between each other, I don't think Jimmy's range contains lots of bluffs, and Ace-10 was simply in between calling and free betting pre-flop. So I think he should let it go.
Does let it go.
Yeah.
which maybe is a case for just calling.
Yeah, calling in position is always nice, and this can. Okay, it plays poorly, but you're ahead of his opening range, so you can try to outplay him in position with deep stack, which has nothing wrong. And in the other scenario, you simply inflate the pot way too much, and you're open to 4-bet bluffs, which this guy is truly capable of making, I guess. And you have face card after all.
So, gang watching, we've had exactly 0 people fulfill the Pokio requirements, which means if you fulfill the Pokio requirements, there's a good chance you have 25 euros absolutely for free.
Yeah.
We'll put in the command for Pokio, so you know what to do.
People simply refuse free money.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Maybe they hate them. I don't know.
I
I've seen
like free money.
Yeah.
Free money is the best kind of money.
If this app was available in my country, I'm definitely in the list by now. But that's
Do
not
you
the
play
case.
online?
Well, I do. And during the Dao Cups, of course, there were plenty of action, and turns out to be really huge variance.
Yeah,
It
WCUP is an
wasn't my-
expensive 2
Of
weeks
course,
for a lot of
especially
people, 3 weeks.
Sundays. But I was well prepared about it, so I took it and didn't go as planned. But it's fine. Life goes on, and you can see this. For some reason, the graphic was a little bit behind,
Yeah, we have a set here, but
Yes.
he's not going to get any value from it.
unless Joe decided to go for a bluff. But I don't see any reason to do. He has a really good combo draw on the turn.
So what percentage do you play online compared to live? Do you play mostly online or you play mostly live? Or it's about half and
Currently,
half?
I do play Sundays, and not all Sundays, and it will be like 10-1 in favor of cash game.
So it's Sunday Fun Day tournament punting on Sundays? Or is it cash games with just traffic being bigger on Sundays?
Well, yeah, mostly the second one is what I do. And if I find really good value in some online tournaments, of course I'm gonna go for it. But usually I like the social element of the game. And the more travel, the more I get experience in live cash, and I found that this is my way of playing. I mean, this is my venue, to say, live table.
I started out as live. I've been playing since the 80s, but
Yeah.
then when online started, like I was already on in
Yeah.
2001, and then I just got addicted. And because, I mean, the concept of a Hold'em tournament was like a new thing to me.
Yes.
You know, and I was always a mixed game player, so I learned how to play some Hold'em tournaments,
Really
and then
competitive.
I got into the cash games, which I found to be super loose, not necessarily no limit Hold'em, although I have played a little bit online back when that was soft, and then went into sitting goes a little bit as well, but now I'm back to pretty much exclusively live, and that ratio is about 85%, 80, probably 90% cash, and then like I'll punt into the. They're running a 50 grand tournament here, so I'm gonna punt. And Argo, the technician, he won a ticket in the satellite, so he's selling me his ticket. I'll give him a little bit of equity, and we're gonna punt into the hyper turbo.
Oh, you mean the 10-minute levels?
Yes.
Well, if there is a good tournament structure, I would love to play tournaments because it's more competitive. There are lots of recreational players. Everybody's willing to live the dream, But in reality, what I see from the few tournaments I played this year is that at some point there is like a hyper turbo phase where everybody's really short, like 10 big blinds, and there is no outmaneuvering. And
It's a
in-
pre-flop game then, but it's a push
Yes,
fold.
yes. If you know good pre-flop ranges, you know calling ranges, and your hands are holding up, everything's fine. But in cash game, you simply play pretty much the same tempo, same deep stacks. You can always try to do something creative, and I find more value than this. Otherwise, you just waste like 5 or 6 hours playing live tournament and suddenly go broke. But in cash, always you can rebuy. You can try to adjust to some certain players because you always play against same opponents. And I find simply more value in this. And my calculator shows the same result, so I stick to most TV.
That's well put. That
Yeah,
it's different beasts altogether
I
for sure.
prove it by sample.
So we got a chip count update again. Not much has changed. I mean, we've seen some interesting action, but haven't seen those monster pots that we're waiting for.
Yeah.
I think we'll see at least
Okay.
one.
The one unorthodox play was Ace 4 of diamonds.
Yes.
It was a nice hand. Maybe the guy with the ace king should look for wife tails in that spot, but he called so fast that we couldn't actually take a look at the guy.
And then the flush, and then the next, and then
Yes, yes.
followed by a flush, but the pot wasn't so big in that hand.
So far, pretty standard, with
I think we'll
few
see
exceptions.
an open here from James.
I think in order to game to go wild and spicy, something has to happen. Maybe some bad beats or a huge cooler or whatever. If someone goes on tilt, the other guys are really experienced. They will notice that, and they will maybe go after the tilted guy. And this will be extremely dynamic and good for the table overall. But so far, everybody is almost playing the amount of money they invested in the beginning. Of course, they're having fun, but I don't see very interesting post-flop decisions to be made. Maybe we
I
have
see
to be
some
patient.
interesting drinking decisions
Yes,
going
yes,
on.
yes,
they're,
yes.
they're having a good time. This is another. I don't know if they're drinking after a certain thing happens on the table or just whenever they
It's
feel
just
like it.
Thursday night. Who needs another reason?
And that cash game festival.
Yeah,
So,
they're having fun. It's a holiday after all.
what's your policy on alcohol while you play? Do you ever?
Why I play?
Yeah. Do you ever let loose, or you're alcohol free for the most part? Maybe a beer, but not like much more than that.
Okay, yeah, there is some limits. I don't wanna do some crazy stuff while I'm at the table. So, yeah, there are maybe one or two beers is my cap, how to say. And of course, if I see that I'm getting drunk or something, I usually take for some fresh air, maybe try to sober out a little bit. And if the table is really good, of course, I will eventually get back on my seat. But if I see that I'm gonna lose the control of the situation, I simply try to stop drinking. I know sometimes it's really tempting because everybody around you giving you cheers and so on. They wanna get involved into the table, especially if it's a good company, people at your age and so on. And with these guys, it's really easy to lose control and go really drunk. But I'll try to be one of the three guys to the right in this spot and to remain solid as long as possible, because the game will get crazier as the cups goes by.
Probably a smart decision.
Yeah, should be
Me, I
wise.
like to drink when I play,
When
but
you're at the poker table, you should always think of some rational, wise decisions. Jack 9 suited I saw, but somebody folded it. Could be a playable hand. Instead 6-4. I don't like this defense, especially against under the gun. And this game was professional, right, Joel?
Joel,
Is he?
let's see if we have anything on his bio. He is a poker pro, so
Actually, this is one of the few guys I know that he's admitting for sure, because most of them say I'm semi-pro, I have other things that are not willing to review themselves. But this guy, maybe he's proud of that, I don't know. But I listened to him yesterday, he was quite decent with his comments.
and he played that hand against his friend too, who's also a poker pro. So yeah, and so I think like these guys are just trying to have a laugh rather than play
Yes,
like
yes.
the best strategic poker. Although we've seen them play quite well, but the
Yeah.
defend is they're going to maybe play a little bit looser than
I
they
think
normally play.
if he's sober, he's never gonna defend 6-4 offsuit against somebody gun, but because of the few drinks, maybe he's starting to loosen up, which is, I guess, normal. So we expect bigger pots, maybe wide ranges. Let's see. And this guy Antonio, although he's the biggest stack on the table, I don't see him do anything extraordinary. He's just wait for good spots, which in this situation when there are 5 guys drinking might be the max EV, and there will be a free bet for sure because this hand is way too good to just flat.
The bet sizing is a little bit interesting because normally everybody, like we haven't seen anybody do anything other than a 3x. And this
Maybe
is a
against this-
3.5x.
Maybe because it's Antonio, if it was someone else, I'm sure he's gonna go for the race. And what a flop. Absolutely nothing. And I think
Antonio can
Jimmy.
wrap a hand here. I mean, he does have second pair, but
I
still.
like in Antonio's shoes. I like going for 1/3 on this monotone board because your opponent either has a flush or has completely nothing. I mean, of course he can has top pair, and you're gonna find out with this small bet. But imagine how many hands like Jack 10 suited and I mean from different cover that are going to fold with such equity that you're willing to deny with your hand.
The story is still the same though if you do it on the turn, but I'm also with you that I'm,
No,
I'm
I
just doing
prefer
that.
as early as possible to do it because on monotone boards, simply you either have a made hand or you are absolutely not interested to the pot in any case. And why to give free equity to some random cards from the big blind or straddle? And you have made vulnerable hand with 9-7 suited. What are you gonna catch on the turn on river? Basically nothing. So makes no sense. Usually, what I find very profitable is to have a big frequency of small bets in spots that are in between. To say
This can't be right.
what?
It is right.
I think this is a blind all-in.
A blind jam when they got small blind, big blind. This is sick. This is absolutely
They run
sick.
it 2 times because
Wow.
wow.
Is this real life?
Twice.
Sam
So
Loving.
you see, he's pointing to the dealer to do it twice maybe.
This is insane. I mean, it had to be what you said, where they just said, you know what, if it ever folds around to me in the small blind, I'll jam, will you call? And
10 freeze and terrible shit. This is what alcohol causes. That's why you should stop at some point.
wow. Still can get a 10.
Oh
Oh, my God.
Really?
Gets lucky.
Wow.
Wow, sick. Well, no harm, no foul. Casino makes a little money. There's a little rake involved, and it's a little bit of fun. You run it twice, but there's still rake to be paid, so neither player won.
Yeah.
Both players lost a little, nothing major. We had a little fun.
Wow.
1.8k pot with 10-3
This
and
escalated
ace-3.
out of nowhere. You know, we just talk about some random stuff, and suddenly 2 guys are all in pre-flop for huge pile of chips.
Yeah, I mean, when it folds around and it's like ace-3, I mean,
don't
we can
expect
keep
much.
talking about whatever we're
Yes,
talking
yes,
about.
yes. And we often heard screams from the wife table, but nothing extraordinary. Just some people screaming for some reason. You don't expect this to happen a lot, but wow. So,
And a sweat to the river, too.
yes. And I think we can expect some frisky plays like that in the near future. So those other guys should be aware that this is extremely wild and variance game, and should be quite profitable actually, because so far the game was really tight and almost zero action. And now I think it's a good time for those guys who are not drinking to start and put the pressure, because ranges are completely different already, and you see. This guy. No.
It definitely changed the dynamics, so
Yes,
let's
yes,
just
yes,
see.
yes.
But yet, nobody wanted to play around. It may also put the other players that don't want to necessarily
See,
be
this
getting
guy
into these
now-
situations.
Now he's considering doing something crazy with Queen High, because he saw already what people do with 200 big blinds pre-flop. And even though you might think that this guy should be extremely tight, it's quite opposite because these guys are willing to call more, but not to free bet wider because they have, how to say, defined ranges about what they do, how much to free bet, and when they're drinking, usually they are calling more. This is what I notice from my local games. People are not going aggressive when they drink; they're just simply voluntarily putting money.
Because you get bored if you're drinking
Yes,
and you
yes,
want
yes.
and
You want
you want to play
action.
more hands.
Yes, yes.
That's why I like playing Omaha when I'm drinking as well, because you can see more hands. I mean, even if you're calling a little bit on the loose range, it's never going to be completely
Of course.
wrong. So you'd want to be on the table now if you threw off seats 6, 7, and 8 who are like hungry. Then you would have a good time if you're playing six-handed with seats 1 through 5.
I think this is gonna be a really nice table to be in. Yeah, for sure. But I don't see anyone going out of the table.
No. Yeah, it wouldn't be the kind of table that I'd want to stand up from.
Yes, and you know, on such tables, it's quite okay if you lose few stacks in the beginning just because the variance is so high. But the important thing is not to get desperate and maybe just to rebuy. Of course, if you have the money to do so, and try as long as possible to fight against these guys because the game is really profitable now.
So Sam's 3-bet gets through. Antonio's not the type of player that's going to defend ace-2 suited. We've
Yeah,
seen
he
that
might
earlier.
go for a 4-bet, but instead he simply waits for better spots. Hope he finds some.
Seems like a very disciplined player.
Yes, yes.
I don't recognize Antonio, so maybe we can learn a little bit about him. No, we cannot, other than he is 29 years old.
He's so
And
discreet.
yeah, he basically, we have questionnaires from the players when we don't have a chance to talk to them all the time as commentators, but this one is pretty empty.
This guy is simply. It's better if you know less than about me.
Which is fine.
Yeah, of course. He's not trying to be flashy and screaming to be the star of the table. He's just quiet and grinding out, looking for good spots. Daniel, 9-6 is way to lose.
It is a button now.
He shouldn't do it anyway. He hits a good flop and I really like here going for triple barrel with 9 high. You have very good combo with some equity.
Yeah,
And
the
the
gut
other guy
shot,
actually
maybe your
has
flush draws
2
live.
pair, which
Yeah.
he didn't even consider going for the check raise against a guy who's drinking a lot, which I'm surprised. He's probably going to check call all the way if there is not fourth card. I think this is his plan.
Looks like a big bet there too. About a pot
but
size bet.
I don't see anything other than calling
No.
here. And just hope for deuce of diamonds or something like that. Instead, it's a very scary card actually. But in reality, how do you think? Do you think Daniel has lots of queen X in this spot? Does he have lots of straights? Does he value bet ace jack? Does he value bet ace king again? What
He
is
could have anything because he was a button opener, right? So his range
yes.
is, I mean,
And
it's pretty hard to call back-to-back pot size bets
basically-
there, even with 2 pair.
He's basically saying he has a flush because I don't think he's taking this size with straight or 2 pair. So he's polarizing himself to really strong like queen high or king high flush, and that's why his line doesn't make much sense, and he's gonna get verified, which is the correct decision, and he's gonna look. He's not happy.
Antonio didn't take too much time to call
Yeah,
there either.
because he's a thinking player, but for some reason they're not revealing their cards. What's going on?
Maybe there was a raise there,
No.
which would be strange, so I
course
don't know
not.
what's going on.
Ace-8 here is just a bluff catcher, and I think button has lots of both with this wine. But still, they're waiting for something.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's happening here. The four has come over.
There is no way he's raising here. He put so many yellow chips, each worth 25. Oh, he raised. What?
So he turned his two pair into a bluff, thinking maybe he can pile off a queen
But why?
because maybe Daniel got a queen and maybe that's saying I have the flush that I've been trapping you all along. But still, the line makes no sense to me either.
Okay, this is really weird. I mean, no.
I'm not quite sure it was a raise either, though. But I guess it had to be.
And it was a snap raise? You thought it was a fast hero coin instead?
It looked like it because he just put it tossed in a chip, but maybe he
Wow.
announced an amount too. Thank you.
And
Our
this-
lovely waitress came back for
Yes.
us. She doesn't forget about us. This is amazing.
But you know, with this wine, he's only gonna get cold when he's beat, and the other player who is gonna fold all his bluffs. That's why I don't like this play at all.
But are you snap calling to a huge check
No.
raise there if you have just
No.
the queen?
With just a queen, in reality, I don't have many queens in this spot. Besides, then maybe ace queen offsuit that I decided to call pre-flop.
You don't, right? But maybe he does, right?
Maybe he has something like queen jack. If I remember, it was queen. It was ace 10 8, right? So queen jack has some kind of double gut shot maybe. So, and of course I'm gonna need one card to continue. So yeah, I'll have some straights in this spot, but it's completely random to raise on the river, in my opinion.
Are they all in?
Yes.
Wow. Okay, a flip.
course.
How many times are they running this?
It's a river queue.
Antonio picking up the lot.
Yeah.
Are they running it twice?
I shouldn't advise. Okay, running it twice is better, but shouldn't advise you to go in with pocket tens in a cash game where there is
There's
no.
not too much there. Once it's 9 Jack Queen,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
kings are no good anymore. So he was just
Yeah.
throwing to an ace. So it's a
Especially
trap.
against Antonio. I mean, I didn't follow the action. Who went all in?
I don't think we saw because I was watching the screen and it just all of a sudden said that they were all in.
Yeah.
So certainly the action is picked up to
Oh
some
yeah,
degree.
yeah, for sure. Now we see some crazy hands. And the guy who bluffed with 9-6 off is taking time off.
Maybe going to the toilet, maybe getting smoke in because you
Yeah.
can smoke in the casino but not in the poker area. So maybe he went over to the smoking area.
Yeah.
In Sunny Beach, it's different. You can just about smoke anywhere, but you can't smoke at the TV table.
You go outside here in front of the sea. It's very nice. Lots of tourists, and here it's quite calm actually. I don't see many tourists. People tend to go to work during the days. Surprisingly, not many people actually. The entire city is like 400 people, 1,000 people.
It's like my city. I live in Vilnius, and the capital of Lithuania, and it's about 500,000.
Yeah, it's okay.
But yeah, there's a nice nightlife in Vilnius. Here there is too, but not on a Wednesday night. Maybe on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, it's pretty good here.
Yeah.
If you like karaoke, there's a pretty fun karaoke bar
I do like karaoke,
in Bratislava.
Actually, I watch some travel guides, and they say that Bratislava is mostly famous that being located next to Vienna. So people who are traveling around Central Europe, they go here for like a day or two, and they come back to Vienna or some other capitals.
Makes sense. It's so
The
cheap.
distance are so short.
So I didn't fly into Bratislava. I flew into Vienna, and
Yeah.
then took a bus that was 40 minutes and only €5.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to take a day trip, you could get to Vienna for €5. You could get to Prague for €5.
Yes, I actually watched that few websites offering the same prices, so I'm really considering this for tomorrow. because there is plenty of stuff to visit in Vienna.
You can take a bus, go for a few hours, and come back, and you know, 'cause it's
a
40
1
minutes
hour-
each way.
1 hour ride, and I have nothing planned for tomorrow's.
Bad flop here for Sam.
Yes.
And if a 10 comes, then it's going to be Action City.
Of course.
Although we're not going to see any more of this hand. Jimmy bets.
No,
I thought
yeah.
they folded, so then Sam will be calling. Sam will be raising.
Yeah, I like this play because on this 9-6-6 board you have all the trips in the world, and this is one of your few natural bluffs because on this board there were no flush draws, so you have less bluffs in this board, and you pick one of your open-ended, and you just go for it. You have 8k after all, and out of position you want to play it aggressive. You don't want to just check call, and check fold if you don't hit anything by the river.
Down the hatch, fellas, again.
Yes. So the level of play is for sure higher than Sunny Beach Cash Festival, but with few exceptions that people do some random stuff at any point in time, so you have to be well prepared and ready to make some huge hero calls. Even though he made some hero raise, which makes no sense, but okay, let's not go back there. I still cannot figure this out. What was the reason behind it?
Nobody hitting anything on this board. Bolent with the backdoor flush draw. But
usually the one who fires gets it, and I think it's a great spot for the button to stop because he can continue on 7, on 8, on 6, on heart, of course.
This should work, even though it's
Yeah.
only half the pot, and it does.
Everybody showed weakness, so it's a nice play. And we haven't seen much about this guy, much from this guy. It's been like 30 hands, really calm in the beginning, but once these guys got into the alcohol, it completely changes the table.
It's about halfway through now, so
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting to see how the second half develops.
Yeah, I'm considering taking a short break in a while, but you go ahead,
Okay, 1 second.
of course. So the next hand we see King 7 off folded, 9-6 suited also skipping, and of course Ace Queen is gonna be standard open to 15, I suppose. Depends whether there is straddle or not. And instant 3-bet to 50. Actually, I prefer a little bit more out of position because I notice a few times that people do it in position. And of course, Queen Jack is good enough playable hand, could go both ways. And this guy with Ace Queen decided to put everything in the middle, which of course is plus CV play. He could of course go for the call, playing position so deep. And another straddle. Definitely it's getting tough to play with these guys because the other 3 players on the table knows that those guys can play really wide ranges against them. So they're choosing to play extremely tight in this spot. Wait for good hands. Hope to punish them in some big pots. Is there a free bet to 200? Wow. And 2 flats. It's extremely unpredictable game already. So Jimmy decides to free bet to 100 and it's check through, but the action is so fast that it's not easy to follow it, and simply Ace7 has flopped 2 pairs and didn't bet on any streets. I don't know if these guys actually see their hands when they do it, and yeah, they're having a blast, but This looks like a blackjack to me.
Alex, I stack you on that board.
Oh, no, well played.
All in on flop.
You actually lost the minimum.
No, you probably did.
Yeah, you raise, you 3-bet, you play bluff river. Oh, fuck, I'll send chips everywhere. Okay, I've got the 4-bet, the 8-3.
So guys, I'm going to leave you in the capable hands of Teomir for the next 15 minutes because he has to go pretty soon. I'm going to take my quick break and then I'll be back with you for the rest of the way. But you're in very good hands. You'll get some good analysis and be back soon. Thanks, Teomir.
Yeah. So it's getting really crazy at the moment. I noticed that they play really fast. There was a hand involving 3 players with 8-3 offsuit. He 3-bets, but I wasn't sure whether he saw his card because the action went check through. And in the end, A7 won with 2 pair, which of course can bet on each street. Let's see for the next hand. For the turn to the Sam, who takes some time before looking his cards and raise to 15. We don't know his holdings. It's Queen 9 off now we saw. And Alex is willing to see a flop. So does Daniel with marginal hands. Ace deuce I wouldn't recommend to play out of position against 2 players, which are really bad ace. It's hard to flop something decent with ace deuce, and you can always just go for the check call mode unless you hit 2 pair. And he does. Queen 9 is gonna fire on 10, on 8, maybe on king. 3 changes absolutely nothing. Maybe he's willing to fire again, otherwise he just give up. And in Daniel's shoes I prefer small bet against his jack 10s, maybe pocket 10s. But in this case it goes check, and for sure he has to call because his hand improves to aces with pocket 3s and jack kicker, so his deuce doesn't play. So he has the easiest call of his life, and I'm sure he will find it eventually. Everything bricks on this run out, all the 8-9s, king queens, queen 10s, spades missed, so he has to call, which he does, and takes down the pot. Against Sam, as adjustment, I'm willing to let him hang himself because he's kind of player that he's not willing to give up in certain spots. So it's a good check on the river. Lots of noises from the table. Good stuff so far.
Lots 100.
This time we don't see straddle because it's Antonio under the gun. He quickly folds. Ace Jack is a decent hand, should raise to 15, or maybe in this case it's okay to even raise to 20 because of the dynamics on the table. You can increase your bet size and maybe reduce your opening range, narrow it. He takes down the pot. I've seen a few players rebuying in the last few minutes, so the average stack is going up. And with these shuffling machines, the game is going really fast, so they play like 1.5 times more than the usual amount of hands. Sam is folding this one, Queen 8 offsuit. It might be a walk. No, Ace Jack is of course gonna play. And he gets snapped raised by Antonio, but he's not folding. There is an error in the graphics. Now they fixed it, and this is gonna be very straightforward flop. Ace Jack should always check fold, there's no reason to continue here out of position against a guy who has really tight image. Basically, what I think is that those three guys from 6 to 8 willing to collide with the other 5 guys, not between themselves. So it's very easy to skip this marginal spot. Of course, ace high might be good in small blind shoes, but it simply makes no sense to continue in the hand. Not with this dynamic. So it was debate by seat number 1 whether to put straddle on, and he finally did it. So everybody was really happy about it. So we're gonna see another straddle pot. Some sees Jack 10 offsuit, good laydown. Folds around to the cutoff, who's folding 6-5 off, and now only the blinds remain. So Antonio goes big out of position, which I like, and everybody folds. So he takes down the blinds plus the straddle. It's important to go bigger out of position with such marginal hands. You simply try to steer down the blinds. You don't want any action, so 5 heads, 5 times the straddle seems okay. And another straddle. Of course, on this side of the table it's quite normal. Ace-4 could try to steal the blinds, chooses not to. 6-5, he can limp call with that hand out of position against the straddle. And I think the straddle checks, so we see flop. I like going 1/3 with 6-5 suited here. We have no showdown. There are lots of auto folds. You want to deny equity, but it's not gonna work out this time. Snap raise and 9-6 will take down the pot. Of course, in this pot, if you have Jack, it's very good because you just bet call, and on later streets you leave some Hank himself, which is gonna happen at least one more street by the way he's playing right now. And I think he should seat number 1 should continue with any 8, any good backdoors, and re-evaluate the turn. Because the raise size was so big, he's not gonna continue with some marginal pairs and weak draws.
During the work week.
He's gonna need combo draw to continue. Ace Queen on the button. 30 or 35 is the standard in this case. Goes 35 and takes down the blinds again. So I noticed that these guys are willing to play against each other, but once one of the other 3 guys opens up the pot, they are playing extremely straightforward, so they have some kind of history and game between each other, so they're willing to involve in marginal spots and to avoid any nonsense against the other guys. So it's good to notice that. So it creates some really interesting dynamic in this spot. Folds around to the King Jack, who has crystal clear open.
to 15, and ace-8 should defend here. Of course, he might choose to go for a 3-bet, but not against this guy, who is one of the tightest player on the table. So we go to the flop, which is Jack-Ace Deuce, and it's good to pot control with this combo because you have some decent turns. He decides to go for 1/3, which is also fine because we know that this guy has really wide range and he might continue with worse hands. And this is very good action card because not only gives him flush and straight draw, he decides to play it cautiously. And I think ace-8 might consider small value bet because he by now should know that he's not against 2-pair or better. So he might choose his own price. If he put him on maybe like king 10 or something, that slows down the turn and he gets the call. I like this 1/4 size. It's good block bet and he takes down the pot. And this is the spot where big blind doesn't have many bluffs, so therefore you should go with a smaller size usually. This also gives you a good price to bluff cheaply. Besides the hand with 9-6 offsuit on the free card flop, I don't see many huge punts on this table. $35 by King Queen offsuit. King 6 can only try to 3-bet here. I don't see anything other that makes some sense, and I'll choose not to do it with this combo. Again, no action. Maybe they should introduce 7 deuce or something. Maybe double straddle at some point. We see so many flops today. I'm sorry, I meant so little flops. So many pots taken before the flop. And now I see one of the late position guys on seat number 6 to put straddle on. I think it's the first time he does it. Jimmy on the button definitely going to open this to 30 or 35. Definitely good enough hand. He has the button. He might go and defend against 3-bet. We see a call, most likely. It's hard to do some deep analysis when they play so fast, and I simply find it difficult to follow the action. Another monotone board. Again, like going for the same strategy, just betting small, folding out some suited cards from different color. He hits the straight on the turn, which he's probably gonna check call again. Maybe considering check raise because he has lots of 2 pairs on this board, and if he's up against mate flush, he's drawing dead. But as soon as he finds out about it, the better. Against big bet, I like just calling because makes no sense to raise. and isolate yourself against his best part of the range. And here, this is not a good card for the big blind because he now loses to some full houses, which were set on the flops. And now Jimmy has a decision whether to go for a value, and the answer, of course, is yes, because there are plenty of missed straight draws. There is some hands like 8-9. He has the image of betting too much in such spots, and Tommy quickly throws the call chips, and he'll get the bad news. It's a nice hand by Jimmy. So I see Jason coming back.
Yes, I'm back. Tiomir, it was a pleasure having you with me. I know that you need to play or need to do something, so but thank you for joining us.
It was a pleasure as always. Hope to come back again some other time.
We'll probably hopefully see you on the feature table tomorrow as well.
Probably.
Or over the weekend.
It's a tough opposition, I see, but I have my data I collect, and it's very fun to be here, and I really enjoy it. So looking forward for some next meetup games and cage game festivals. See you guys.
Thank you very much. So once again, I'm back. It is Jason Glatzer in the booth. Me, myself, and I. We just had Tiomir here doing a little bit of commentating solo. Very good guy, very insightful, good analysis. He plays a lot of No Limit Hold'em cash games. Hope you enjoyed him as much as I did. It was a pleasure speaking with him, and pleasure listening to him provide his insight on the game. As you know, Hold'em is not my cash game of choice, personally, although I do play some. But it's not that I'm studying as hard as he is about ranges and all the stuff that you need to know when you're playing, especially like mid-limits, like 2-5, 5-10, versus like the small stakes 1-2, 1-3 games. Thank you, Carpet Catcher. Hey, James. Good to see you both in the chat box. Let's have a little bit of fun here. We're in for the end stretch. We have probably about an hour left. They're getting rowdier and rowdier. You've seen the amount of drinks these British guys have put down. We have some talented players, though, in the mix. James Bullimore over there making the fold. Alex as well. Daniel part of the crew as well. So seats 1 through 5 are all British players. We have Tommy, Antonio, and Ballant rounding out the table. And this could be interesting. Daniel could be, he's just checking. He could have bet there because he was a pre-flop aggressor. He may just be betting here on the turn. He is ahead. Antonio is ahead. But if Daniel bets, it's going to be tough for Antonio to continue despite having the 3 of hearts. And now it might go check because there's not really many pocket pairs in Antonio's range, and then the ace normally would be playing. And Daniel's not going to be getting very many hands to fold that that he is behind. 3-3 just happened to be one of them. But it wasn't a big enough pot to be playing fancy. So a small little pickup for the pocket 3s for Antonio. Hey, Jungle Best. Hope all is well tonight. Thank you for tuning in. Those of you that do not know who I am Jason Glatzer, aka Wacky Jackson. I've been involved with the Cash Game Festival for a while. I've played many stops, have done various different things for them as well. You may also know me from Poker News. You may know me from my old days at Pocket Fives or as an online player. Or you may know me just from around, playing in many cities around the globe. So we have Jimmy opening up with the pocket fives. Alex making a call from the hijack and on a 3-bet, and it's going to go heads up in a flippish situation. Jimmy is ahead. Alex with the gut shot. Jimmy's going to have a tough time continuing with the hand after checking if Alex opts to rep that he has a piece of this board. Alex playing it close to the vest though. It's gone check, check. The 6 of diamonds doesn't really change much for either player. There's not really many 6s in Alex's range. So if Jimmy felt that maybe he was good with his 5s on the flop, that he should feel pretty comfortable on the turn. And the 10 of clubs does change things, obviously. It gives Alex a pair. It does make things a little bit tricky for him to try to get value out of that pair, because he may not realize that pair is actually good, and what is he really going to get to call that he is eating? I mean, pocket fives, maybe, because the pot is small, but I wouldn't be surprised if this just goes check, check, and Alex taking down the small pot of 37 euros. But Alex does make the bet. It's an over bet, and it's an easy fold for Jimmy at that point in time. Doesn't get any more value out of the hand, although Jimmy is still thinking it over, so maybe it's not such an easy fold. He does make the fold after thinking about it. Looks like the two of them are having a good time. They're friends. They came out together from the United Kingdom. And what's everybody up to tonight? Anybody grinding anywhere? Anybody planning on grinding anywhere live over the weekend? Anybody planning on making a last-minute trip out here to Bratislava? A lot of noise in the background. That's coming from the feature table all night long. Calapi and Zellini drinking some beer. Sounds good to me. So Sam, the pre-flop aggressor, Jack 10 suited, connects nice to a lot of boards, and now with the turn he does have an open ender. Joel not hitting much of the board either. It does look like a bet and a call of probably about 25 euros. So a check, a bet of 22, and a call. The 7 of clubs in the river doesn't really do anything. Let's see what happens. I think if either player bets, they'll take down the hand. And it does go check bet. It's going to be tough for Joel to call here. He does make the call. Hero called. Hero calling just with the ace-2 there. That's a tough board to be doing that against, especially to an under-the-gun raiser. That's right, Bombay Bad Beat. The next stop is Bucharest on October 16th to 20th at the Poker Club Bucharest. It should be an amazing time. There's information about that on the Cash Game Festival website. There'll be more information to come. The TV table registration will open soon as well. So I'll have to check that beer out, Zeleny. I do like trying different beers. In my advanced age, I'm trying to move to drinking more whiskey and less beer, but it's hard to do. So James, that's a very good question. Right now, we are running promotions over on our Pokio Club, the CGF Pokio Club. Unfortunately, you can't right now register from the United Kingdom, but just by playing 100 hands in the club, you earn a ticket to a raffle, and then one player will win the raffle and head over to Bucharest, compliments of the house, on a €1,500 package, which includes €500 in stake money, hotel, and VIP hospitality package as well. And for those of you that aren't in the United Kingdom, there's a good chance you can sign up for Pokio, and we will be giving you a free €25 just for signing up and putting your screen name here to 4 people. But being that we've had nobody do it during this stream, you're pretty much guaranteed just by doing it to get a €25 free to check things out, have a little fun on Pokio. And if you're wondering a bit about Pokio, it's a fully legal and regulated online poker app. There are games in not only Texas Hold'em, which you see here on the stream, but also PLO 4-5, which you saw on the last stream, Sweet and Special, which is a dream game for me, and Open Face Chinese. No, James, it's not because of Brexit. It's you know that UK has specific licensing, so this isn't like a this isn't the fly-by-night club. They're doing everything legit and by the book. They will probably be having a UK license at some point, but until such time that they have their proper UK license, they're not going to be taking their chances and offering games to UK players. It just would be a very stupid thing for a legit company to do. I would love to play there. I can't play there either from Lithuania. I'm trying to see what we can do about that. But another time, James, as well. Hopefully, there'll be time when you can play at Pokio, and time I can play there as well. So it looks like we're down to like the last bit of the stream here, so I have a feeling that we're going to see some funky action going on. Probably see some more 3-betting like we've seen. Everybody wants to be the chip leader. Not the chip leader, but the player that wins the most big blinds. The player that wins the most big blinds at a single feature table wins a small prize, gets their photo as well. But the player that wins the most big blinds at any of the Hold'em feature tables wins the Cash Game Festival Hold'em trophy. They also win a €1,000 package to our next stop in Bucharest on October 16th to 20th. The same goes for the player that wins the most big blinds out of any of the 4 PLO feature tables during the festival. And a third trophy will be awarded along with a package to the player that wins the most big blinds or antes at the 2 mixed games. There'll be a short deck game tomorrow, which will qualify for the mixed games, and a Sweet and Special feature table on Saturday. You will likely see me on one of those tables. We will see George back in the commentating booth. He had a day off today, but he'll be back with you guys for those of you that tuned in for George. So Zelenia, I'm pretty sure that you can actually legally sign up in Slovakia. You can feel free to add me on Facebook under Jason Glatz, or send me a private message, and after the stream I'll talk to one of the Pokio reps is in the house. I'll ask her the questions, but I'm pretty sure Slovakian players have been signing up here at the festival legally. I believe they are able to play there. But I don't want to spread public misinformation. I'm not 100% solid on that comment. So we have Tomy here with the Jack-10 suited. Raises it up to 15 under the gun. Maybe a little bit on the loose side, but the stream is going to be wrapping up soon, and it's not too bad. Joel, though, being a bit looser. 3-betting from the hijack, 5-3 suited. It's a sneaky little hand that sometimes connects boards, and you can disguise what you actually have. Let's see if Tommy decides to continue out of position, and he does. So we have a 100-euro pot already. This flop hits actually Joel's 3-bet range, even though it doesn't hit his actual hand. Better than it hits Tommy's opening bet, even though he was an under-the-gun raiser. Let's see what Joel decides to do. Joel bets and Tommy snap calls, so that's interesting, being that Tommy just has a gut shot for Broadway, so he must not be buying into Joel. Let's see if Joel has another bullet in the chamber. A second bullet should do it. It could have been the bet sizing on the flop, the 1/3, so maybe if he bets a little bigger here. It does look like it's a little bit bigger, 136. Now it's going to be tough for Tommy to do anything, but I stand corrected. Tommy showing a lot of heart here. He must have some kind of read though, like he does have a double, a double gut shot now. The 9 completes a straight as well as a queen. Joel though with a flush draw, and the flush draw does not complete, but Joel has the check mark, and now we may see it go check check unless Tommy decides to try to steal it here. Joel has some showdown value, not a lot though. I mean, Tommy now has a lot of aces in his range, being that he called 2 streets. It was a rainbow flop as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if Joel tries to rep something. He does have a little more than 1 SPR in his hand, then he does. He just jams it. It's impossible for Tommy to call now. It's celebration time over there. He does show the 5-3. But the 5-3 is good. It would have been good if it went check check. And Antonio, who started with 2K, he started with the biggest stack, still has the biggest stack, up about 600 at the moment. I believe that's the most on the table currently. Bombay bad beat saying boss. Yeah, it was a bit of a bossy move. He kept up with the story. He had a plan. He stuck to it. Barrel, barrel, empty. So now Sam with the Jack-10 suited. He's going to be playing this hand. Looks like just a small raise to 15, which what they've been doing when there's been no straddle. Alex making the call from the button with the Queen 10 off. Daniel likely will call from the small blind, and he does, and Tomei will likely defend now. 7-6 suited is much better than 7-6, but certainly worth defending against 3 opponents.
4 players.
So interesting flop. It's actually Tomei that hits the best of it with second pair. Let's see if he wants to try to get value out of his second pair. It's tough to get value out of this. You're often not going to get called by worse. But on the other hand, you don't necessarily have to sweat as much if you get everybody to fold. It looks like a bet of 45, but by Daniel with the 2 overcards from the small blind. So that certainly changes things up. I was expecting Daniel to check there, and Tomei folding the best hand. Sam not going anywhere. He does have a backdoor flush draw, 2 overcards. No, he did fold. Nope. Let's see. His cards are back there. It looked like he called before. He did call. And Alex making the fold. 8 of clubs on the turn. It's now a flush draw for Sam, and now the 10 of diamonds on the river after it went check check on the turn. Sam with the best hand.
75. Position 5.
Daniel making a pretty big bet though. 175 into a pot of 150, but can Sam really ever fold here? When we've seen now how the British players are playing at the end, I don't think you're ever folding top pair here. He makes the call. Scoops up a nice tidy 500 euro pot. Well done. And it's quieted down, which means that the stream has ended in real time. So we have about 15 minutes or so of action. We'll probably see some more fun hands like we just saw. Getting in the last bit of TV time. I appreciate everybody for sticking around. Those that I know, those that I don't know. We'll have some pictures and other stuff uploaded a little bit later on the Cash Game Festival Facebook page, so go ahead and check that out. Ballant has been playing fairly tight. Maybe he wants to get in a little bit of fun with a good suited hand here from under the gun with things wrapping down, and he does. Raises to 15. 9-7 suited. Daniel could 3-bet, he could call, he could fold. He just calls. And Tomei not going to play along from the small blind. And Antonio here waking up with... I don't think Antonio just folded 8s in the big blind. Nope, he called. And Ballant hitting his king. Has a big lead in the hand right now. We'll likely see him try to get value, and I'd be surprised if anybody carries along. Antonio might, but it then puts him in a tricky spot out of position. Hey, Jeffrey, how's it going, buddy? Right now, it's just me, Jason Glatzer, in the booth. George will be back tomorrow. We had Tiomir in the booth earlier providing some good insight. Life is good. I'm in Bratislava. Blanco Casino's amazing. Free drinks, some free food at times as well. Games have been good. We were on the beer bike earlier today, having a little bit of fun. Not sure if you saw that video, but there's a Facebook Live of the beer bike for a few minutes while we were all on it.
So black, but before it was too red. So
And Red MXND is on Team Alex.
get it.
Alex seems like a fun player, solid player. Definitely seeing a lot of the British guys around. James over there doing the toast, the cheers. Alex with the ace-king suited. We'll get to see some Alex in action. Tomei calling from the button, so Tomei's range has loosened up a little bit with the 4-2 suited. And you can't ask for a better flop with 4-2. Bottom pair, open-ender.
Thank you.
Alex with a gut shot and 2 overcards. Alex tossing out the bet. Tomei's not going to be going anywhere. It's a question of whether he just calls or raises. And he opts for the safer, more conservative decision of calling. Alex looking fairly focused here. Is he going to fire out again? He does have some outs. He would normally have 6, but it's 7 outs, but we know the 4 of hearts is in Tomei's hand, and we know that the 4 of clubs is dead from someone else's hand, so it's down to 5 outs for Alex. He does check. Tomei checks behind because he currently just has bottom pair. The 3 of spades completes the board on the river. Goes check, check again. Tomei picks up a small pot. No fireworks. If an ace came, then maybe we would have seen something happen. But we can't rig the action just for our entertainment. So Antonio's sitting on still the biggest stack by far, but he did buy in for 2K. I still think he's made the most on the table, but we'll find out shortly. I've had the official results sent to me, but I will not be looking at them until the end. We have James here with the King 7. Is he going to have a little fun? No fun for James. We do not know what some of these players have. The folding is going at a fast and furious pace. We have Antonio, though, with the 10-8 suited. Antonio making, when we've seen 30 raises when there's no straddle, when there is a straddle, so this is a little bit bigger at 35, but it's fine. Position button. It doesn't make that much of a difference between 30 and 35, and nobody playing along. I don't think Antonio minds that. A free 17 euro. Redmax, we're down to the last few hands. I don't know exactly which hand is going to be the last one. Well, I know that we're on a 20-minute delay, and the noise has stopped at the feature table, and I've received the message who the biggest winner was at the feature table as well. So I can't predict that it will end in 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 5 minutes. But then we will be back tomorrow with some real fun. We have a short deck TV table. We have also a 510 Hold'em TV table, and one of my favorites, 2-2 Omaha, 4-card and 5-card dealer's choice. And then on Saturday there will be a 1-3 Hold'em table, so it's the only 1-3 that we have. Otherwise it's 2-5 and higher for the feature tables. That'll be a fun table, and then it'll switch over to a high octane 5-5-5 game, and that is limits at 5-5, and it's PLO 5-card, and then Svithin Special will wrap everything up at the end with blinds at 2-2. But Svithin can play much bigger regardless of the blinds. It's a split pot game, and if you aren't sure what Svithin Special is, you should be tuning into that. Red, there'll be some same people tomorrow, but some new faces as well. I mean, that's an idea, Jeffrey, to add an ante. I mean, tomorrow's short deck, we did do a small blind and a big blind as a test during the first time we ran short deck, but we're going to the traditional antes there. We're going to take a look at how that all works out, but it has been discussed maybe adding an ante to Hold'em as well. There's different schools of thought on that. Yeah, the issue with 6-max is unless you have players waiting around on the waiting list, it can easily be, the actions may be a bit fast and you can have players not reloading, and then you don't want to play super short-handed. Plus, we want to give as many players a chance as possible to be at the TV table. So some celebrations going on in here. I'm not quite sure over what. It is a big pot, though. So was it a bump pot? Because nothing else is making sense how this got up to 600 euro. A 10 shown, an ace shown, and an 8 shown. Let's see the second card. It looks like it was just they went in blind. It doesn't matter what that card is, but we know it's a 6 of hearts. Alex wins a nice little pot there. I'm not 100% sure what exactly happened there, how that pot got up to 600, but I imagine that it folded around. I'm not quite sure. Nick Kennedy randomly popping next to the TV table, crashing the party, saying hi to his friends. Maybe a little disappointed. That was the end of the feature table, so he's just coming over to say hi to everybody. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. It's been an absolute pleasure being with you for the last 4 hours and change. We had tremendous fun at the 2-2 PLO table, and the 2-5 No Limit Hold'em table was also a lot of fun. It was especially good to have Tealmere in the booth with us, providing some analysis during the Hold'em. Antonio was the biggest winner at the Hold'em TV table. He won 665 euros for a profit of 133 big blinds. So well done, Antonio. And we will be back tomorrow, so please come and tune in. George will be leading the reins once again. I'll go back to doing my thing, but appreciate you all tuning in. Once again, this is Jason Glatzer at the Cash Game Festival Bratislava. Thanks, everybody. Have a good Thursday evening, and peace out.
I've been coming to Cash Game Festival for some time now. The games are amazing, the people are amazing. Like, look at the venue. You meet so many amazing people here. That's one of the things that I really value here.
The atmosphere at the table is really nice. It's been really nice chatty table.
Well, it's totally amazing. It's definitely the best hotel I've ever been to.
You are not only in for the games, but every night there are these fun side activities, and it's always nice to have these activities.
I've been to similar parties some days ago, some years ago, but this one is very high level.